Hey everyone, Coach William here from Restored Strength, and today I wanted to go over 3 ways to alleviate shin splints. Before I go over those 3 ways to alleviate shin splints, let's talk about why shin splints occur. A common reoccurrence with shin splints typically happens after running or jumping. Now, what happens and what causes shin splints is just some faulty mechanics in your gait. Gait is referred to either your running or your walking pattern. So when we look at walking and running, there's going to be 2 differences in between. So when we're walking, we want to make sure that we're striking with the heel because we're not doing anything that's going to be large that'll impact the joint. It's just a small, low impact movement. But when we look at running or sprinting, whatever it may be, we want to make sure that we have the good mechanics. And by the good mechanics, I mean we want to strike with the forefront of our foot. So what happens there is, if I'm striking with the forefront of my foot, or the ball of my foot, I'm going to be able to absorb the impact that I'm applying into the ground like a spring. So I'm going to be able to absorb that impact and then bounce off into my next step. What happens and what occurs in shin splints is we're doing the opposite motion. We're striking with our heel and we're not allowing that bouncing, that spring-like coil effect to happen. So that jarring motion just gets impacted through the front of our foot, which affects the muscle called our anterior tibialis here. And that's where a lot of that pain or that association with shin splints happen. It's because we're striking with the heel opposed to the ball of the foot. So the first exercise that we want to begin with is a seated ankle stretch. Now, depending on the severity of how tight that ankle joint may be, you might want to have a pad or a towel to place underneath the hamstrings, so then that way you don't strain that joint too much. So just to begin with the seated ankle stretch, I'm going to have my feet flat, having my toes pointed away from me. I'm just going to sit onto my heels, and I'm just going to slowly and gently rock from one side to the opposite side. As I'm rocking, I just want to make sure that I'm breathing out, allowing myself to be relaxed in this stretched position. The second exercise I'm going to go into is just doing some self-myofascial release. I'm going to grab a lacrosse ball and I'm going to put it underneath that muscle that I talked about earlier, that anterior tibialis, and I'm just going to lightly apply pressure onto the ball. Now, if I want to get deeper into this, I can place my hands down and just shift my weight towards my hip, lightly making a circle just on the outside of the calf here on the front. So I'm just going to do about 10 circles one direction and 10 circles the other. The thing you want to be careful of is not applying too much tension that might irritate the tissue. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get onto the posterior side of the calf. I'm just going to stack one foot on top of the other, and what I want to do is I want to gently roll up and down, just gradually, and as I'm doing that, the other thing I want to make sure I'm applying tension to is the joint itself. So I can stay in this relaxed position, and what I want to do is I want to point my big toe towards my knee, and then point my big toe towards the wall. Towards my knee, then towards that wall. We can even get creative and have some ankle circles going around too as well. But what we want to do is we want to apply tension through the tissue as we get the joint going through its ranges of motion. Alright, so that was 3 ways to help alleviate shin splints. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. We'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.